Tens of thousands of Palestinians have been forced to flee areas of Gaza's Khan Yunis after the Israeli authorities ordered them to evacuate overnight. In Khan Yunis, the evacuation covered districts in the center of the conflict zone, making it one of the largest evacuation orders in the 310-day-old conflict. In the past 24 hours, Israeli airstrikes on a school in Gaza City, where displaced Palestinians were taking refuge, have resulted in the deaths of 90 Palestinians. The Palestine Red Crescent Society spends all night moving bodies or rushing the injured to hospitals. At least 39,790 people have been killed and 92,002 wounded in 310 days of war between Israel and Hamas. Palestinians on social media claim the number is much higher, since it has become difficult to keep track of the dead and wounded, with the skeletal staff remaining in hospitals and rescue services. The Israeli military said it was attacking Hamas militants who are using these areas to stage attacks and fire rockets. Announcements sent to residents' phones and posted on X said they should evacuate immediately for their own safety to the newly created humanitarian zone. But according to Palestinian and UN officials, there are no safe areas in the enclave. On the other hand, President Joe Biden expressed optimism that a ceasefire between Israel and Hamas could still be achieved before the end of his presidential term, which is just over 5 months away. In an interview with CBS News, Biden affirmed that the plan I proposed, endorsed by the G7 and the UN Security Council, is still viable. And I'm working literally every single day, and my whole team, to see to it that it doesn't escalate into a regional war. But it easily can. The United States Defense Secretary Lloyd Austin has deployed a guided missile submarine to the Middle East and expedited the arrival of a carrier strike group. The action is taken in response to concerns about a regional conflict following the recent assassination of high-ranking leaders from Hezbollah and Hamas. Hamas says it's not willing to start fresh negotiations with Israel on a ceasefire and hostage deal. The group says a deal proposed by the United States back in May should be adopted and is accusing Israel of consistently undermining peace efforts. President Abdel Fattah el-Sisi of Egypt and Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani of Qatar have also said that the time has come to finalize an agreement for a ceasefire, as well as the release of hostages taken to Gaza and Palestinian detainees held by Israel. The deal is complex and consists of 3 phases, with each phase lasting 6 weeks. In the first phase of the deal, hostilities between Hamas and Israel would pause temporarily, with Israeli forces withdrawing eastward from densely populated areas of Gaza. Israeli aircraft and drones would halt flights over Gaza for 10 hours daily and 12 hours on days when captives are released. Hamas would release 33 captives, including women, the elderly, the sick, and non-soldiers under 19, while Israel would free Palestinians in exchange. Israel will release 30 Palestinian prisoners for each civilian and 50 for every captive female soldier. This phase would also allow displaced Palestinians to return home and initiate reconstruction and aid efforts in Gaza. In the second phase of the deal, all military operations would cease permanently from both sides, and Israel would fully withdraw from Gaza. In another prisoner swap, the remaining Israeli men and soldiers would be exchanged for Palestinian prisoners. In the third phase, the remains of captives and prisoners held by both parties would be exchanged. Additionally, this phase would focus on a 3 to 5 year reconstruction effort for Gaza and, crucially, aim to end the Israeli blockade of the area. On the 8th of August, Qatar, Egypt, and the US urged Israel and Hamas to resume ceasefire talks on August 15th in Doha or Cairo to finalize and implement the agreement without delay.